Hey, hey, hey. Welcome to the Acting Like a Mom podcast. I am Aylya, your host, and we are here to shine a spotlight on the incredible and often untold stories of mothers navigating the fast-paced world of the entertainment industry. Let's get to it.
Lila.
Hey y'all. So the baby is asleep. My teeth are brushed. The trash trucks are gone. I can't be the only one that they stress out. The amount of anxiety I get, and I know I can't be the only parent because you put in so much effort to get these kids to sleep and they just come around throwing trash cans. Anywho, welcome. Welcome to the Acting Like a Mom podcast. This episode is super, super special and exciting because it was my first guest, Aylya Marzolf, and I appreciate her because she, we had a couple kinks and she just took them in stride, like the kink of me not turning on the mic. I completely did not turn on the mic and didn't realize it till halfway through. So halfway, you're going to hear the audio from the camera, and the second half, you will get the audio from the mic. This episode is also fun because at the time, we were both 7 months pregnant. So this episode is from a while ago, pre-babies when we were both pregnant. But it's cool because we had just both come back from a casting, which we ultimately both booked. We booked on different days, but it's just fun looking at this video and that time, and here we are with babies. All right, let me grab my notes because I am a note taker. Aylya Marzolf is an actor, director, writer, producer. She's half Japanese, half American, and she's from Hawaii. She recently added director and writer to her resume in a project called The Sadness and Freedom. It went through the film festival circuits. The movie basically explores the nuances of domestic violence, which we actually do touch on her personal experience in this, so trigger warning. And the role that she's known for the most is Sirens. It was a freeform show where she played an evil mermaid. And we talk about that as well, and her experience and having her son come in and out and visit. She has done multiple print campaigns, works for really big companies. So in this episode, we talk about taking your babies to auditions because for some reason that stresses me out. She planned for a home birth, so she touches a little bit on that. We talk about her experience being a single mom and then transitioning into finding love after her divorce. She's married. She has 2 kids, and her second kid is literally 3 days older than mine. All right, so let's get into the actual episode. I hope you enjoy Acting Like a Mom. Okay, hey there, what's up? My name is Aylya, and this is the Acting Like a Mom podcast, and we have officially our first guest.
Hello.
So we're gonna start out with a slate. A slate is just something that actors do so that casting directors get to know you a little better. So your name, where you're from, and your most proud working moment.
Okay. Hi, I'm Aylya Marzolf. I'm originally from Hawaii. And my most proud working moment definitely has to be the show Siren that I was on. I played an evil mermaid on a freeform show for 3 years, and it was amazing. The people I worked with were great, but I also got to play a bad guy for the first time. And when people find my Instagram, they're like, "Oh wow, you're like a really nice person.
You're so sweet."
Yes. To me, I was like, "Oh, I did such a good job." You guys all thought I was the worst.
How often were you in the water?
So first season, I wasn't at all.
Mm-hmm.
Second season, I had a fake tank. It was like we were in an aquarium on set. And then third season, every episode, we had one tank day at the end of the episode. There was a lot more water stuff.
Okay, so how, because you already had your son.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my son turned 4 while I was in Vancouver shooting the first season. And
I'm like, what? What did you do?
So for me, right, I'm like, well, you're my child. I gave birth to you.
Right.
You're going to be with me on your birthday.
Right.
Hell or high water.
You are coming with me.
So you're coming with me. So I paid for my sister. Luckily, my sister was able to take time off, and she flew from Missouri to LA and then brought him from LA to Vancouver, and then was able to stay with him when I had to work.
Oh, so was he there the whole time you were shooting?
Not the whole time. I think I was there for the first weekend by myself. So it was I think he came maybe his birthday's November 7th. I think he maybe came the 4th or something like that, and then stayed till afterwards. But it was great, and the cast. We all had like a cast dinner and like sang him happy birthday. It was really
so
sweet.
Cute.
And he saw snow for the first time.
Oh my goodness!
So
Oh my gosh! So you did all 3 seasons, Vancouver, and he went with you.
So season 2, my first 3 weeks he wasn't in school yet, so he started kindergarten while I was in season 2. So for the first 3 weeks I didn't work a lot, and so he came with me, and it was like a great little paid vacation in Vancouver. So we had an amazing time, and I had like a couple fittings.
Yeah, here and
there, and it was totally fine. And everyone actually wardrobe made him his own cape.
Oh my god!
With a C on the back, like his own superhero cape and stuff. It was very cute.
I love that.
But then he had to go back and go to school. So my best friend came from Missouri also, and I finished high school in Missouri. So like that's where my family and some of my best friends live. So she came up and spent like a week so that he could stay a little bit longer, and then she took him back to Missouri.
Got it.
And by then I was already a single mom. So before actually even the first season, I became a single mom. So luckily, my mom was living with me at the time.
And she was able
to. And so she was able to like take him to school and make sure he had like a stable household and environment. So
how was that too? I feel like you've had a little bit of all of the experiences.
Yeah, what do you need?
Like, I feel like, how does it go from like, I guess that's the question, like, how do you build a village? Because now you said your family doesn't live here, or they do.
Yeah, well, so my mom has lived in LA almost the same amount of time as me, but this year she left, which definitely, when pregnant with this baby, I was like,
come back.
Please come back.
Come back.
Why now? Did you wait like a couple years?
Right, give me some time. But she was here to help.
She was here, and so for, let's see, a year after I separated from my first husband, my older son's dad, my mom actually lived with me. So actually where I live now, she had like the downstairs has its own little like guest suite, and so she lived down there, and we had most of the upstairs, and then obviously we shared the common space.
Yeah.
But it was nice because there was enough separation that it wasn't
on top
like
of each other.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I love you, Mom. Thank you for your help, but like, can I have some space?
Yeah. So that was really nice and really necessary to make sure that Cassius had like a stable home.
Yeah,
he was sleeping in his bed every night and his room, and like going to school and coming home, and that was really nice.
Routine.
And then my mom started teaching at a school, and so then my son started going to that school. So then it was like school with grandma.
This is great.
So that was really, really helpful. But even before that, like in terms of finding my village, I have to say, like, I've never had a babysitter watch Cassius with the exception of one that I found on care.com, and her name's Melissa, and she's like wonderful. She hasn't watched Cassius in like forever, since he was like really little, but she's like a friend now. I put him in preschool when he was like 2. He would do half days, which was helpful.
Oh, that's great.
I remember the first day of preschool.
I'm like, I'm not ready.
Oh, I was so well. We did half days, so it was only like 4 hours.
Yeah.
So I dropped him off at like 8, and then I went to Trader Joe's. If you've never been to Trader Joe's at 8:30 in the morning by yourself, or Target at 8:30 in the morning by yourself,
yes, it's.
Whew, it feels really nice.
Beautiful.
It's beautiful.
I feel that's what I'm like. I was like, this is the because it's like the parking lot is clear. I could like walk around so happy. Like there's no lines. I was like
no trash in the car.
And then I feel like also whenever I go, I see the other like you just see a certain type of person there at that time, and it's so funny because I'm like. That's where I see pregnant people. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is where we're at. Yeah. This is where we're doing Trader Joe's. We're doing our errands. I love that because I'm shopping with a kid.
It's so much work.
It's not fun.
Well, especially when they're young, getting them like in and out of the car. Like, it's just a lot.
Even just because like I recently moved closer to my parents because I feel like with my first son, I feel like I could swing it, like, with friends, because it was like, I would have friends meet me at the audition, and then, like,
and just hang out for a little bit, 20, 30 minutes, because that's the thing, if you ask for, like, small bits of time, it's not a big deal, right? Like, it's like, and even at auditions, though, I mean, I think now it's getting more back to, like, regular, the way it used to be.
actually in person.
But, like, auditions, like I would always bring Cassius.
That gives me so much anxiety. You told me that at the audition. I was like, what do you mean?
I would just bring him, and casting always like a cute little baby. Like, but obviously you have to time it so it's not like
their nap or whatever.
Like he's eaten, he's not like exhausted, or he's asleep. And I would just put him, when he was really little, I just put him in a stroller, and usually either like you run into someone you know, or there's like a really nice person there, or even like the runner, the session runner will just like sit there and like push the stroller.
I feel like it gives me so much anxiety. Like I feel like leading up to it, I'm just sitting there, I'm like, what if no one's there? What if I have to take him in with me? Because I'm banking, I'm like, there's going to be somebody there that I could be like, and then that's also weird. Like, can you watch my child?
No, it's not weird.
Is it's not weird?
Women, especially, I feel like in this industry who like, you know, it's a big thing. I remember when I had my son, people were like, oh my gosh, your career's over. Like, you're having a baby. You don't have babies when this is your job. What I was going to say is, like, especially in this town where women are, like, toying with the idea of maybe having a baby, but I don't know, there's baby fever. You're in that waiting room and you're like, could you watch? And they're like, oh my gosh, I thought you'd never ask. Yes, please. Let me watch your child. Oh, can I hold it? Can I take her out the stroller? Like, they want, it's not a burden. Like, 19 times out of 20, people are, like, so happy you asked.
I think I'm more worried of, like, because I feel like my son's great. He's fine. But I'm like, what if he has a moment? I think that's what gives me...
If he has a moment, then casting understands, and you just wait. You go in the next group.
Did you just have that innately, or did you, like, work on that? Because for some reason, I'm like, you're telling me, like, you're like, all you have to do is just do it. I'm like, but it gives me what?
I think I have to say this. I think in this industry,
pregnant. She's pregnant.
You know, I think in this industry, there's a certain level of, can I cuss?
Yeah.
Okay. There's a certain level of like, I don't give a fuck. Fuck it.
Right. Yeah.
That you have to have, and I have to like say to my agent, shout out Jamie, who's now your print agent too.
I know.
Jamie Love. She works so hard, and my whole time that I've been signed with her, she booked me my first commercial ever a long time ago. I won't tell you how many years. Let's not age myself. But she had me so busy going to so many auditions that I didn't have time to care.
Oh.
Like, so before I got pregnant, right? So there was a certain level of like, look, I'm here. I'm happy to be here. I appreciate it. I'm here to do my best. And then I gotta go because I have to get from Santa Monica to Pasadena by this time to get seen, blah, blah, blah. So there was a certain level of like, each audition wasn't precious. I wanted to do my best, but it was like, I don't have time to worry if you liked the shoes I chose to wear today. Like, I don't have time for that. I have to go. Thank you so much. I hope to see you at the callback. Like, have a great day.
If not, I'm going to forget this tomorrow anyway.
I would forget. I would get called for a booking and be like, what job
What was this? Yes, I definitely feel like that's true. I feel like the things that I did care about before, I definitely don't care about the same. Like, I feel like in my auditions, I'm able to just be like, hi, I'm here. You know, even if it's just a blip, before I'd be driving and thinking about the audition, now I'm driving and I'm like, all right, I'm going to drop him off at this time and I have to be there at that time. And I'm like going through this whole thing so that like I could get him there on time, but be there at time. I'm not even thinking about the pressure of this audition. I'm just kind of like.
So just let that meld into, because I think that Jamie had gotten me so conditioned to a point where I was like, I'm here, I'm going to do my best, right? Like, I get callbacks, I get avails, I get bookings. People want to see me. And I do a good job when I'm in the room. So it's like, I just have to get there. I'm going to do a good job. Casting wants you to be the one, so their job's done.
It's true.
So I'm like, so if I can come in and be the one, you're not going to mind pushing the stroller back and forth for 5 minutes while I'm in there. Like,
true.
Obviously I don't want to be disrespectful to the time and the space, and if you don't want to fit or something, I'll go outside. But at the end of the day, like, we're all in this together to get these jobs booked, shot, done well, have production be happy. And so I think that I had already kind of been in that mindset before I had Cassius. So then when I had him, it was like I just kept going.
And then just trying to find, because you said you used Care and you only used it once.
I used Care.com. I only used it once. We actually only interviewed one person and she was amazing.
And it was done.
And then I was like, great.
We tried, have you heard of Vumo?
No, I haven't.
I feel like it's relatively newer, but that's what we tried. But that is more of a on-demand daycare type of situation. And I don't know, it worked. We found one place that we liked and we kind of just kept booking through them. But also I feel like it was
hard for him to transition into that space because he's around me all the time. And then so I feel like daycare, and I feel like that's its own thing that they have to get used to. So to like put him in for a day and take him out. I feel like there's the pros and cons. It's like if you have to. I think if it's a big audition or something, definitely
if you need to be
present, then I definitely think it's worth it to do it. But
there's just so many options, right?
Yeah,
like you can find a caretaker, you can find your friends. I've even had my agent before watch cash so I could go to something like I want to go because
take people up on their
theatrical
offers.
Auditions I probably wouldn't bring a kid. Commercial print, right? But theatrical, no, you
just can't.
You just can't, right? Like everyone there is focused. Like it's a different kind of environment.
Yeah.
So for theatrical auditions, like you definitely should find someone to watch. But even though we are starting to go back in person, it's still few and far between. It's not like you're going to have to ask your friend every day or 2 days or
to watch someone. It's very seldom and it's so random. I feel like I'm like, hey girl, what's up, how you doing? Are you free?
And so just know where your friends are and be like, hey, I have an audition that's like 5 minutes from your house.
That's what I feel like. I have certain friends that live by certain locations that I know I'm gonna hit them up. I'm like, okay, 200 South, who lives over, like I have my certain like people, the west side, I have my people over there, so I feel like that's definitely helpful in building.
And you know what I will say? I feel like sometimes when you become a mother, if your friends are not parents, it's really easy to lose, not the friendship, but just in terms of like the contact and seeing them, because you do get very busy and you're really busy organizing and managing so many different things and lives that reaching out to them and having that is a great way to
see them,
maintain that friendship, have them close with your children, have them and so you don't end up on this island of just mom,
because it could be very alienating. Well, you know what I'm saying? Because it's easier to lose yourself in motherhood than I thought. Like I felt like that was such a cliche term of like, don't lose yourself in motherhood. I'm like, you just like do what you were doing and you just do it. And now you have a kid, and it's like, absolutely not. Like, absolutely not. That's not how it is. So I definitely feel like that is a good point because I would see my friends. I'm like, hey girl, how are you? And it would be like a brief.
I live on the west side.
Yeah.
One of my best friends, Subangile, she lives in Glendale. Every time I go to Dan Bell, I'm like, what's up, girl? I'm in Glendale.
Let's do this. This is just like, you're not driving to Glendale.
Yeah, so it's like all these things that I feel like can feel like roadblocks or obstacles. There are ways to kind of turn them around and make them a positive. Yeah. And that doesn't mean that it's like easy. It just means that it's, like a workout class is not easy, but it's good for you. Right? So it's like, I feel like there's ways to make it more positive.
I remember an audition. I was, you probably don't remember, but it was like a while ago when I was pregnant with my first. And you were just, and I was like, how is it? And you were just like, so positive about it. And it was so, like, I don't think in that moment you realized, because obviously you didn't know I was pregnant. You're like, it's fine, like, you just figure it out. And, I took him with me when he was little. And I was like, wow, like, she's so positive about it. And I was so grateful in that moment. Yeah. So I feel like that's something that I've always, like, noticed about you, that you stay positive through the whole thing. And do you think that you just always been, are you just like a positive person? I mean,
sometimes, but if you ask my husband, I'm also like a worrywart who like, I overstress about things. I put too much on my plate. Like that's definitely been something in the last year or so. I've been like trying to like not overload my plate. But I definitely think that for me, in terms of having a kid, when I was 18, I had a boyfriend who was 23, who had a 3-year-old when we started dating. We lived together, and his mom was not fully present.
Pause real quick.
Yeah.
I just want my sound.
Oh no. Do they have sound at all?
Yeah, they have sound. I have a checklist. Wrote it on my phone, which I haven't looked at because we were just talking.
Golly, did I really just do that? Totally. What were you saying?
In terms of like motherhood, so okay, when I was 18, I dated a guy who's 23 and had a 3-year-old son. And the mom was not totally present, and so his son lived with us pretty much all the time. And I got to practice being a mom, basically, like, and I fell in love, and with this child, the relationship went on way further than it should have. Partially because I didn't want to leave this child. And it was really, really hard leaving. Like, I knew then and there, like, I was like, I want to, like, I know for sure.
Like, you knew you wanted it.
I want to be a mom. I'm going to be able to be a mom. Like, I'm already doing it.
Yeah.
And so I think, like, I went on in life being like, I'm going to be a mom.
Knew it.
Like, for sure, I'm going to be a mom.
So when you got pregnant, then I guess going back to what I was saying, it was, you were ready.
Yeah, like, well, so my ex-husband and I, we got married. We thought we were going to wait a while to get pregnant. And then after we got married, we were like, oh, it's kind of the same as, like, before. So should we just, and at the time I had, like, 3 commercials running, and, like, we had savings, and, like, and so I was like, well, this is a good time.
Right, this is the best time.
This is a great time.
Yes.
Like, we should do it now.
Right.
Because, like, money's coming in, and if I'm not working, it's not a big deal. And we can just save up so that
from that, we'll have enough from the residuals.
So, yeah, so we, like, tried, got pregnant right away, and I was, like, super excited.
Yeah.
I was ready. And then even, like, towards the end of my pregnancy, my ex-husband, like, cheated on me, and there was, like, all this stuff, and then had, like, a 9-month-long affair afterwards. And there's this whole thing which made it obviously difficult, which I think that had I not felt so confident that, like, I wanted to be a mom and, like,
that's such
all
a good
of
point. That it would have been hard.
It would have been much harder, but I was able to at least, like, focus on my kid, and when I found out about, like, the affair, I kicked him out for a while and was like, well, I guess I'm just a single mom.
Yeah.
Guess it's my life now. But we ended up not splitting up until later. I ended up leaving, I think, 2 years later because of domestic violence.
Oh. My gosh, girl, what?
Yeah, it's a long, lots of things. I've been through a lot of things in my life, like, you know, childhood trauma, a lot of, like, being separated from my family when I was younger, like, sexual abuse, physical abuse, like, all this stuff throughout my life, and I have spent a lot of years in therapy.
Yeah.
And I've also found that while obviously I would not want anyone to have to go through that, and especially, like, the domestic violence at the end of my marriage, like, I would never want anyone to go through that.
Yeah.
I would also, like, even just, like, the divorce itself, and then, like, seeing how that affects your child, and, like, all of that, I would never want anyone to go through that. But at the same time, I know that I never would have left him, because that's not who I am, right? Like, if I love you, I love you. If I say forever, we're doing this, right? Yeah. But I look at my life now, and I look at my husband now. I got married last May to this guy's dad. Thank you. Yay! But I look at my life now, and I even look at the way that my husband fathers Cassius, and I just wouldn't have had this life if it weren't for that domestic violence incident. But in hindsight, right, I'm like, I'm grateful for that. Because otherwise my life would look very different. And I like the life that I am building now. And I like the opportunities and just the way everything's falling into place. So, you know, if you're in a rough time right now where things are happening that you didn't want or didn't plan for, or that seemed like the end of the world, like, my ex-husband was my best friend for 3 years before we ever started dating. Like, I felt like I did all the right things, right?
Yes,
like, I married my best friend. Like, we planned
this
all
is
this
literally
stuff. Like,
it. Yeah.
Like, and yeah, it was really tough. But then at the same time, I think because I had been so much when that happened in my marriage, I was like, I'm out.
Yeah.
Like, this marriage is too broken.
Yeah, we're not coming back.
We're not coming back from this. Like, and I said to him before, like, after I moved out and stuff, I was like, look, if we fall in love again in 6 years after we've both grown as people over soccer games or something, you know, and we're co-parenting well, like, dope, right? Like, I would love to...
I'm here for it.
I would love us to be a family, but this...
Where we're at, how we're doing is a no.
No.
Now that you're where you're at now, and you love where you're at, you love your husband, your family that you've built, you know, this whole life that you've built, and it's like, it's just something to be so grateful about, because, I mean, you don't know until, like, now that, until you're here.
So when I do see women who are like, oh, I'm going through divorce, and I'm like, girl, you can have whatever life you want on the other side with all the lessons that you learned.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, I'm an advocate for marriage. If a marriage can work, I want it to work, right? Like, don't just give up on your marriage and whatever. But sometimes you have to leave. Sometimes it has to be over. Sometimes it's just not fixable.
Yeah.
And I feel like in those times, like, it's gonna be okay. You can move forward. You can have a better life.
You'd get through anything. Like, really there's nothing that you can't. That's what you could get through anything, any hardships.
Yeah.
There is. I know it's hard right now, but it's like,
it's not
if
forever.
you just keep that. Things are temporary. Everything that you're going through is temporary, and I think it's hard to be in certain situations when you don't see the end of the tunnel, you know? And I think that's when it gets dark, because you're sitting there and you're just like, I don't see how I'm going to get out of this, or what it looks like on the other side.
And honestly, women can do anything.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, well, plenty of the years of being a parent and being in this industry, like, because we have so much less stability, and because, like, we don't have regular schedules, we don't have regular paychecks.
We have nothing regular. Nothing
is regular. We don't have paid maternity leave. We don't have,
like,
we don't get paid vacation. Paid vacation, what is that?
When I talk to people and they're like, I'm on maternity leave, and I'm like, what? And even if you don't have maternity leave, I think there's like a California something. I was like, I think that's maybe if you have a regular job, because no one has ever said that there's like...
Yeah, so there is, which I'm going to look into. There is California, like, state funded or whatever, like, maternity leave, but I know you have to pay into, like, disability, because it's basically disability. I am an S Corp.
Oh.
So my husband and I are in the company together, so we technically do pay into disability. I think this time I will actually get to collect some disability during your time off
or whatever.
So I'm actually very
exciting.
excited to, like,
you
find
go,
out more
girl.
details. I'll let you know
TBD,
how it goes.
yeah. It's like,
TBD.
let me know how it goes, because golly, I feel like it's hard, because like you said, even your first pregnancy, you had work and you had these things. I feel like that's the biggest switch for me. My first pregnancy, I was like so ready, and I felt like I just had I booked 2 commercials while I was pregnant, and I was like, we good, you know, like chilling. Yeah, we were chilling, and I was like, you know, the time is now. And then I feel like it was just so peaceful. Like I had time. I like meditated every morning, and it was so beautiful. And I feel like with this pregnancy, it feels
very different.
It feels so different. I mean, this pregnancy is just a lot more stressful, because I didn't book. There's like this time crunch when you're pregnant, because I'm like, I need to hurry up and book something before I start looking pregnant.
Yeah.
And then there's this medium time where you look just like you gained weight. So it's like weird, but you don't quite look pregnant.
Yeah.
And you could nobody cared, like, for maternity stuff. I feel like everyone's like, oh, you know, you'll just book maternity work. And I'm like, you know the people.
Oh, you can get you write that check.
Right. That's what I'm like. Where do you guys think that these jobs are? Yeah. And the thing is nobody cares about, not in a mean way, but like nobody cares about the 3 or 4 month pregnant person.
Yeah.
Because you don't look pregnant.
Yes.
They want you to look pregnant. And if you don't look pregnant, and I feel like I just started looking pregnant, so I just reached back out to the...
I feel like I've looked pregnant forever this time.
Stop it. You say that we're both pregnant?
I'm pregnant.
We're pregnant.
We're 3 days apart.
We literally do 3 days apart. And we just found this out, which is also crazy, because I'm just like, we just came back from a casting together.
Yeah.
And I never see you at castings, because we're like not the same type.
Yeah,
we're not
the same type.
And now that we're pregnant, I'm like,
this is
we're the same type. Yeah, that's what I was like. I just saw you, like, and it was pregnant. We've known each other for so long?
Yeah, how do we know each other?
Girl.
We worked together.
And on what?
But what? It's probably either a commercial or a music video.
Yeah. Are you excited about, is your son excited about being a big brother?
So excited. Really? He has like begged and begged and begged for a sibling. So he's so stoked. He kisses my belly and talks to the baby every day. And how does your son feel?
He has no idea.
What?
He doesn't get it.
Oh, but like, do you tell him like there's a baby?
I tell him all the time. I'm like, baby. He's like, cat, climbing all over me, and I'm just like, bro. Like, he's just like kicking her, and she kicks back. Like,
that's cute.
There is no similarities in pregnancies, because he was like in there, and I feel like he was like just body rolling, you know, like, and she's like cat, She never stops all night. I'm
so
just like,
funny.
you guys are not the same. And I'm like nervous because I'm like, does this mean that she's going to be more active than he is now? Because golly, your girl is tired.
Well, maybe they'll play together, and then
I'm hoping
that
so.
can. I have heard that when you have two, it's easier than one because they entertain each other. Like after a certain point, after two or something like that.
I don't know because I've heard both because I've also heard that it's hard.
It's hard.
Everything is great.
I think motherhood is such a thing where it's like you can't wait. Like you're
Yeah.
so excited for when this next step to happen, but then at the same time you're like, oh, but like I don't want.
Yeah.
Baby, like,
I know.
grow up.
Because even just thinking now, I'm like, oh my gosh, you see little, I can't wait till he walks, you know? And it's now that he's walking, I feel like I'm always like, no, hey, no,
Come back here.
come back. Like he climbs into everything. He's like, oh, I can't wait till you can do this. You can wait, girl. You
Yes,
can wait.
you can.
It will
Yes, you
come.
can.
He's going to grow no matter what you do. So just enjoy this right now. Gosh.
I feel like that's the thing about second pregnancy is you're like, oh, we could wait.
Girl, that's such a good point because I feel like that's literally what I said. I feel like the first one we're like, oh, I'm so ready. Like, oh, the babies, are you ready? Oh my gosh. And I'm like, baby girl, take your time. Take your time.
I will say maybe it's because it's been so long.
Wow.
I am so excited to have this baby, and also we're doing a home birth, so it's going to be a really different experience than having my son. So I'm also very excited.
So do you have like a doula or a midwife?
We have midwives.
Okay.
So we are delivering with Kindred Space LA,
Mm-hmm.
and it's funny because so many things that everyone's like, oh, well, here's how to get your husband on board. Like, my husband suggested it. Like,
He's on board.
He's on board. Okay, it was me you had to get on board.
Yeah.
Because, my dad is a doctor,
Uh-huh.
and while I don't trust the medical system
Correct.
fully, and
Yeah.
I didn't have a traumatic birth with Cassius in the
Mhm.
hospital, but it just wasn't
I do.
what I wanted
Yeah.
exactly. And come to find out, like, the more information I'm finding out, I'm like, oh, it could have 100% been what I wanted, but I just wasn't told the risks. I wasn't told, like, any of those things. And at the end of the day, hospitals don't want to get sued. So
they're gonna
some
do
of their
what's-
protocols are just, like, unnecessary extra precautions.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, almost like,
To them, this is routine.
Yeah,
like they're just like
They're
we're like, I know this works. If we do this, the baby will be out.
Yeah,
It's
and then
too
you
risky
can't
for
be
you.
mad at me because, like,
'Cause
at
we
the end of
did
the
it.
day,
The baby's
baby's
born.
fine.
Yeah, the baby's
You know.
born. The baby's good.
yeah. And so I spent a lot of time listening to, because I like the idea of doing it at home. I was like, that sounds nice. That sounds nice.
Girl, same. I'm like, that
But,
sounds
like,
so
what
cute and
if,
peaceful.
and all that, like, what if, like, what does that
Yeah.
actually look like? And I spent a lot of time listening to a podcast, a midwife podcast from Hearth and Home Midwifery in Portland, and their podcast is amazing. I feel like even if you're not planning a home birth, there's so much information about birth and how natural it is, and like what really is an emergency and what isn't an emergency, and what's done in those situations, that I felt like just so much more empowered and so much more like, oh, even if I was to go to a hospital, now I know to be like, well, hold on, like,
you know the questions.
that might be your policy, but like, is it medically necessary right now? Or is there another option?
Yes.
And I just really liked how, like, the midwifery model, it's all about complete, like, true informed consent. And, I feel like in hospitals, it's like, this is happening, so we're going to do this now. You ready? Like, that's not informed consent.
This is you just...
I'm doing it.
I'm doing it, and you don't feel like you have an option. I feel like pregnancy is not what it wasn't horrible experience, but I definitely feel like, luckily, I feel like it could have been horrible, but we had a doula that we worked with before. It was too late for us to, by the time we found her, for her to actually, like, for us to do everything. So we just kind of, like, took a course from her, and I felt like she lovingly latched, that was her name. It was really cute. And she was great because I felt like she was, like, the most single intricate part that made our pregnancy go as well as it could have, because we knew the questions to ask. We knew that
if they say this, like, I have to ask, am I in danger or is the baby in danger? Like, are we doing this just because you want to do this? And I feel like that was a lot of times. And we knew things that we could ask, like when they were checking our dilation. I want the same person to check my dilation because everyone's fingers are different. And then they got mad, but we knew our rights. And I definitely feel like, knowing, and that's why I'm like, gosh, that's so. In my mind, I want to be floating in the water when I just want to float in the water and give birth, but I still, I'm just scared.
But see, so that was the thing, is I was scared at first too, because like, what if, right? Like, what if something happens? And the more research I did, and the more like midwives I talked to, and the more information I found about what it takes to be a certified midwife, like. I feel, for me personally, right? Everyone, to each their own, right? But for me personally, I feel safer at home than going to a hospital for a couple reasons. For one, I have chronic pain, right? And so in my legs and my lower back, and I have seen every doctor under the sun, a rheumatologist, an endocrinologist,
all the ologists.
I'm pregnant. I can't think of all of them.
The
all
ologists.
Right? I've been to so many, and everyone's like, your test results are fine. You're fine.
Like, no.
And I'm like, okay, but can y'all talk to each other and like figure it out?
Yeah.
And so to me, I think one of the major downfalls about giving birth in a hospital is that every department is different, and they don't necessarily work together or communicate or know what's going on. So it's like, the person that's with you while you're in labor is not your OB.
No.
So, like, they come in.
Why did I not know that?
And so it's like, and then if something happens to the baby, it's not the person who delivered and knew what happened during birth that is taking care of your baby. It's like all these things, whereas a midwife is trained to do all of those things. So a midwife knows your medical history from your whole pregnancy. They know, like, what you've been dealing with in early labor, the beginning of labor, like, all the way towards the end.
So personalized.
It's so personalized.
Yeah.
They also, all of them know what you want, right?
Yeah.
So
yes,
that's the thing, is like,
your brain.
if an OB comes in and it's not the one you've been working with, you think that in the middle of labor you're going to talk to this OB and be like, hey, this is my birth plan, these are the things that I want, can we make sure we do this?
And that's exactly what the thing is, because they don't know. They're not geared towards you. It's not personalized.
Yes.
It could be Joe Schmo. The person that could be actually birthing your kid, this could be the first time that you meet them.
Yes.
And I did not know that going into pregnancy. I thought that it was like going to be this harmonious moment where my OB is just available, when my baby decides, and with all their other clients, not realizing when we got there that they have like resident nurses and doctors, and it's just not personalized. And we had our birthing plan, and we tried going over it, but every time it switches at 12, so you're getting a new shift, a new nurse.
The midwives like will be with us the whole time.
Yeah,
the ones that we ended up going with, they're like a group of 4 midwives, and you meet all of them throughout all your prenatal visits. So whoever is available and shows up at that time, you know them. You're comfortable with them. They know your preferences. They know you. They know what your medical history is. They also show up with everything to resuscitate a baby, to resuscitate you.
Yeah.
They also, it's not like they just show up. So someone said, like, what do they just show up with, like, towels or something?
Not
like,
just
no,
towels.
They have oxygen. They have things for IVs.
Yeah.
They have pain, not an epidural, obviously, but they have some pain medication. They have things to help with hemorrhages. They have all of this stuff, and they are constantly checking in, so they know what's going on with baby. They know if your baby's in distress, and they're very aware and checking for those signs of distress.
Yeah.
And if any of those happen, then you transfer to a hospital, and there's already a plan in place.
Yeah, there's a plan.
There's a plan in place, and then it is medically necessary. Right? Versus,
and you know you did everything you could. Versus, and it's, like you said, informed consent. I think that's like the best way to put it. Like, we know that we did everything. I know my options. I know that we tried, and I know that this is the best decision.
Yes.
And you feel better. Like, it's like, okay, we tried. Like, I did everything, and this is just
this is what we have to do because it's medically necessary.
Yeah.
Not just because the doctor wants to get home for dinner.
Yeah.
Like,
get to his vacation.
You know?
Yeah.
And so for me, I actually felt like so much safer because also even just looking at, did you know that, this is about to get dark, did you know that United States has the highest maternal mortality rate of all developed countries?
Yes.
I knew it was bad, but I did not realize it was that bad.
Yeah.
I
Women
looked
are just
that up.
dying giving birth, like it's the Middle
And
Ages or something.
I'm like, we're in 2024 now,
Yes.
and what do you mean? What do you mean people
And
are?
in Europe, where they have a much lower maternal mortality rate, most people deliver with midwives.
Yeah,
Like it's just a very different like thing, and
it's
so
different from what we're taught. Like I guess the way
yeah,
that
very
you would
different
go
from how it's
versus
taught.
yeah.
And like they also come and they do postpartum visits in your home. So like day 1 or 2 after baby, you're not having to like leave the house and go to the
figure it
hospital.
out. Yeah, okay, I remember that.
Yeah, so for me, I was like, I'm healthy. I'm having a healthy pregnancy. I feel better about giving birth at home.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see how I do with pain because I did have an epidural with my first son, partially because I was induced. So
okay.
I had to have an epidural.
Yeah.
It's so much harder to not when you get induced.
Same. I ended up. I was trying not to.
But even so, I feel so much more confident. I feel so much safer. I feel like my midwives are, like when I go to my prenatal appointments, they're an hour long. We hang out.
Oh wow!
We talk. Like we get to
Mine
know
are
each
5
other.
minutes.
Yes,
mine are 5 minutes.
Something that's crazy.
Crazy.
So we switched. We had been seeing an OB, and then once we finally were like, okay, yes, 100%. We interviewed a few people. Once we picked, we had our first midwife prenatal appointment a little while ago, and they were looking at my labs, and they were like, oh yeah, well you're like anemic. You should be taking more of an iron supplement. And I'm like, my OB didn't say that. My OB said nothing to me.
Insane.
And I'm like, they're the ones that tested for it, but then they didn't
tell
anything.
You.
Like,
what are you guys doing? This is so weird. It's like you're giving
so
me this, but you're not. Like, this is so simple. I could get an iron pill. Like,
well, and then the midwives were like, here, we have like, they have iron supplements. They're like, here, there were 2 options. They were like, take your pick. I am really excited. I'm a huge advocate for, at the very least, like, listening to midwife podcasts to like learn the things. If you do feel more comfortable in a hospital, you know what to ask. You know how to advocate yourself.
That's very true.
You know what these medical terms are, because that was my thing. I was like,
the jargon.
My husband could try. If I'm in the middle of labor, I'm not.
You're not there.
I'm pregnant. I can barely remember.
I mean, I feel like the guy has a very the partner, whatever, has a very big role because they have to know these things. Like, and I feel like for our experience, the doula, she explained it, so he knew the words, he knew the things to ask.
Yeah.
He knew what I wanted, so it was like when I'm in labor and I'm like not present, he knew everything, and I felt like because she educated us, we were able to advocate for ourselves, and I feel like that was like just so great to have that knowledge and everything. So
I also feel like in general, as mothers, but also as people in this industry, we have to educate ourselves on everything. Like when it comes to even like contracts, auditions, like all of that stuff, educate yourself.
Yeah, we gotta look for it ourselves.
Know what these things are. I feel like there have been so many times where like people's like, oh, I didn't know, and I'm like, well, educate yourself. Ask your agent questions.
Yeah.
Like, ask your agent questions. Like look things up. Read stuff online. Read the articles that SAG put out. Like get educated and do your part, because you will be a better advocate for yourself. Because that is one thing. Like nobody's gonna do it for you.
Nobody. Like you said, there's just with this industry, I feel like nobody. You could have like agents and managers, and that's great and that's awesome. But in the end, it's like you have to like educate yourself. You have to know, because in the end, people are in it for themselves. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So you just have to like make sure that you know what's going on, know what you could ask for, know what, even if it's like a bump, like you're supposed, they aren't supposed to have this on set, or I'm supposed to have this. How do you know to
call your agent and ask them? How do you know to call your agent and be like, hey, so I was on set and
this wasn't there.
They decided to give me a line and blah, 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 and this and that. And your agent can go in and fight for you and get you all the money, but if you didn't know that
to
that
ask
was
in the
thing,
first place, and then you just missed an opportunity, missed a credit, missed an opportunity, whatever it could be.
Hopefully production would be honest, but
do your research. Do your research. That's ultimately it.
Yeah, and I feel like doing that, coupled with being in this industry, coupled with just, I've always been I'll just figure out how to do it person, has made parenting, like, I don't want to say easier because it ain't easy.
I know. It's
not
so
easy.
funny using the term easier with parenting. I mean, I guess, but there is things that make it easier.
Yes,
When I
there's
say
levels.
it's easy.
There's levels.
Yeah, I was
There's
like,
levels.
I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say.
But I definitely feel like it's made it more enjoyable. It's like made it to where like, yeah, I'm excited to have another baby.
Yeah.
I'm excited to like see how things change in my career because of it, and nothing is impossible.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when I had Cassius, I was still working in restaurants.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't in this industry full time.
Right,
I was working, but not enough to support my family or myself. And I have gotten 3 months of child support.
To this day?
Yeah, my son was almost 3 when I moved out, and he's 10 now.
Okay.
So I've gotten 3 months of child support. I pay for health insurance. I pay for everything.
Yeah.
I pay for the divorce.
Damn.
But like it's not impossible, right? And also, again, like if you educate yourself and you know things, it doesn't have to be forever, right? There was struggle times. There were times I was working in bars and restaurants until 2, 3, 4 in the morning. There were times that I low-key was on a TV show, but then also driving for Postmates to make sure I had enough money to pay bills and like not spending my per diem and just eating on set to like save money.
Girl.
And so it's like, yes, there can be struggle and yes, it can be difficult, but there's always a way out.
Yeah.
And it's not forever.
It's not forever.
Especially if you like get smart about your money and figure out how to budget and figure out how to like live beneath your means.
Yeah.
And just like be aware of all of that. I think that's the biggest thing about succeeding in this industry. There's people who get lucky, right?
Yeah.
And just off the bat, boom.
Make it and they're good and they get their people and
And then they can just pay people to do all that stuff.
Figure it out.
But I think for the most part, like having longevity in this industry is you got to know how to handle money. You got to like learn. You got to get curious
Time
about
management.
these things. And while I have a CPA now,
you go, girl.
He costs too much money, though. Let's be honest. I'll be like,
I know. Every time my husband has them too, and it's a lot.
It's a lot. But every year I'm getting a little bit better, right?
Yeah.
The first year when I started my S Corp, he was like, "Send me these things," and I was like, "Oh, I'm supposed to." Do what?
For the year, I was supposed to keep in.
Okay.
All right.
And so then it was like the next year, and then he's like, "Well, where's your payroll?" And I was like,
"Okay.
Oh,
all
payroll.
right.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like every year I'm growing and I'm getting better
Yeah.
and like I'm learning and definitely I see it paying off. You know, I see like, okay, we had a strike, we had the pandemic. Yeah. Like I've been able to feed myself.
Yeah.
And have a roof over
over
my head, and like. Luckily, last year during the strike, also having my husband didn't hurt.
Right, yeah. Having a partner helps. Having a partner helps.
But still, like, it was like all the things. It's funny, in our relationship, he does not like to deal with money. It stresses him out. He's not a numbers guy.
Yeah.
But I have found, I feel empowered. When I balance my checkbook, or like I have a spreadsheet, when I go in and like see how much money I have and see what bills can be paid and all that, I feel empowered. Like,
feels so good.
Like, ooh, my bills are getting
I'm like, nice. We're paid. The numbers are numbering.
Yes.
It is doing what it needs to do.
Or if I'm a little short or something like that, it's like, okay, cool, we gotta ramen this week.
You know.
And to me it feels empowering and not stressful.
Yeah.
So with him even, it's been nice for him because we've just kind of like inserted him into the structure that I've already built that I like continue on doing. So I think like that's the thing is, I think people think this industry is so glamorous.
Yeah.
And while there are definitely glamorous bits, like I worked a 5-day job in Tulum, it was wonderful.
Right?
You know, like in a 5-star hotel, that was wonderful.
There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff.
There's so much not glamorous stuff.
Majority of it, I would say, is not glamorous.
Yeah, majority of it.
Yeah, majority is not glamorous.
80%.
There's the number. Yeah, I was like, a heavy majority is not glamorous.
Yeah,
so let's just get that there.
Yes. So, I mean, and I feel like getting less so.
Yeah.
I feel like less so.
I agree. Life, motherhood, yay!
You know? Yeah. But
awesome.
And I think also as a mom, I don't know if like, obviously your son is still young, but with my son, there's times where I have to go to work and he's like, oh, why do you have to go to work? Like, how much you leave? Or, especially if you have a travel job or something like that. And the thing I just talked to him is like, you know all those days I don't have to leave to go to work, or where my only job is a 2-hour casting or a couple hours doing an audition, like, and I'm able to be there with you all the time. Like, if I had a 9 to 5, you would
not
only
be
see
here.
me a couple hours every day.
Mm-hmm.
And on the weekends, all this stuff that I'm getting done during the week, like
Yeah.
the laundry, the cleaning, the
Yeah.
whatever, grocery shopping, the cooking, like
All of
I
that.
would be doing that on the weekends.
Yeah.
So
It's, yeah. I
there's
feel like
pros and cons, but I personally feel like if you can make it work, it's just so many more pros than cons.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, I think
Okay.
also having a husband in this industry my husband's a photographer, is also like has its unique challenges as well as the pros.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
'Cause if you have a husband with a 9 to 5, you have a little more stability financially and like all of that. But we have only had to have, I think like twice this year, we had to have one of my friends hang out.
Okay.
He's 10, so we don't call it babysitting anymore.
Hang out.
Yeah, just like
calling your friend to
hang
hang out. My kid needs a hang out partner.
But yeah, so it's only been 2 days where we're both
Uh-huh.
occupied, where he has to go and hang out with one of my friends or one of his friends, and it really hasn't been that bad.
It's great.
Yeah. And
it's like the options.
I feel like there's so many people in this industry still. It's gotten a lot better, I think, since I had Cassius, about like having a kid doesn't end your career.
Yeah.
It's not the end of the world. You don't have to like move back to wherever you're from and like
give up
or like find a new thing. Unless you want to, you know?
Yeah,
like,
of course.
You become a mother and be like,
I'm good.
Say it for me.
Yeah,
like,
I had fun. And that was cute. I had
but you
fun.
don't have to. Like, it's not a death sentence to your career to have a child.
Yeah.
And I think, like, if you're, like, someone who's on the fence or, like, thinking about it, definitely there's better times than others to have a baby, but there's also no right
time to have it.
Yeah, like, there's definitely, again, better times than others, but no right time.
It's like you're never really ready.
Yeah.
So I definitely think that's a good thing to know. It's like you're never really ready, but there is a better time, but it's just so that. But I definitely think that it's possible and it's doable in this industry.
It is. I mean, we're both doing it.
I know.
And also, here's the other thing is I feel like a lot of people think that you have to be somebody to like be able to make it work. And we're nobodies.
That's what you don't have to. You could just be a regular working actor. You know, like you don't have to be that person, and you could make it work.
Celebrities.
No, but it's like we're doing it,
and we're also different types too.
Yeah.
Like as a good example of like anyone
can do it if you want to do it.
If you want to do it, like it's 100% possible. I did it as a single mom for a long time.
You've done it always.
You know, like
single partner, mom.
My career actually didn't take off until after I was a single mom.
That's crazy.
Like,
and that's beautiful.
I didn't quit restaurant work and like other work until after I was a single mom. But I also stopped before I like met my husband. Okay. Like it wasn't contingent on having a partner to where I was at a point in my life that I could not have to supplement my income.
Yeah.
So it's doable. Just time management, money management. Just be a good manager.
Manage your life. I love it. Oh, yay. Awesome. Thank you so much. This was really great. I'm so glad you came and shared your nuggets. Yeah, of course. Thank you. Until next time.
Thank you so much for listening. You could have been anywhere, but you chose to be here with me. If you liked what you heard, put a ding on it. And don't forget to rate and review. And remember, motherhood is the best hood.